Good morning 10th class. Welcome to Sectors of Indian Economy. Ma, in the last class we have discussed about unemployment and we have seen the various ways through which employment can be generated. Yes, and we have even discussed about MG Narega. MG Narega is a program of improving the employment in the rural areas, and especially employment is provided to the women in the rural areas also. I think I did not tell you yesterday. This is mostly concentrated towards the women in the rural areas. Okay. So, and that was a huge success also in the country. Now today, let us speak about the division of sectors with respect to work. Now with respect to work, how are the sectors divided in India? Here we have organized sector and unorganized sector. Earlier we have seen the division with respect to the Indian economy, the primary, secondary and the tertiary sector. That division was depending upon the activities which are done in each sector. Okay. Now today this division, organized and the unorganized sector, is upon the workplace. Okay. Now first let us go with the organized sector. Now what is organized sector? Now see here. It is a place where terms of employment are regular. Okay. Organized sector, the terms of employment are regular. Means what are the terms of employment? Do you have a job security? Do you have paid leave? Are you given OT, overtime? Okay. Are you given fixed number of leaves in a year? Are your working conditions fixed? All these come up to terms of employment. Okay. Now see here. In organized sector, usually the organizations are registered with the government and follow the rules and regulations. Now, any business enterprise or any undertaking, any government undertaking or a business enterprise, whatever it might be, it will come into organized sector only when it is registered with the government and it is following the rules and regulations which are being set by the government. For example, there is a factory, a new factory is being established in your area. So, this factory has to abide by, or it has to follow the factory laws. It has to follow various provisions with respect to the Minimum Wages Act. It has to follow all the rules which are laid with respect to the security. In this way, there are many acts or many rules which these factories have to follow. Now see here. They are registered by the government and have to follow its rules and regulations which are given in various laws such as the Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, Shops and Establishment Act, etc. So, in organized sector, all these acts are applicable. They have to follow. Okay. The third one. It has some formal processes and procedures. So, an organized sector has some formal process and procedures. Process in the sense, every day the employees will be coming into the organization. Attendance is taken. Okay. They have fixed working hours. 9 to 1 is the morning session. Maybe from 1:30 to 4 or 5 is the evening session. In this way, they have a fixed number of working hours. Okay. So, in this way, this organized sector, they follow all the procedures. Okay, ma? And they have security with respect to employment. Once a person is being employed in an organized sector, he just can't be removed out of this sector without any valid reason. Okay. If he is removed without any valid reason, then the person can even approach the court for justice. Okay, ma? Here, though the work is there, though the work is not there, the people or the employees in the organized sector, they can't be removed from their jobs. So here you have job security. Security of employment is nothing but the job security. Okay. And the employees are paid OT, overtime. Overtime means if we work more than the specific period of time, then suppose every day an employer has to spend in office for some say 7 hours. Okay, ma? Now, if this employer is working, he has done a night shift. he has done night duty, then he will be paid for that night duty extra. So in this way they will be paid OT. They are having paid leaves. Paid leave in the sense yearly each and every person who is working in an organized sector, they will be having some leaves. Suppose say 15 leaves. So up to 15 leaves the person can use these 15 leaves, and the government has to pay him. The government or the employer, he has to pay him for the leaves. Though he is on leave 15 days, he is on leave but still he should get his salary for that 15 days also. Other than 15 days, extra to 15 days if he applies for leave, then the salary will be cut. That is loss of pay. So here till 15 days, no loss of pay is there. He has to be paid even though he is on leave. That is paid leave. And provident fund is there. Medical benefits are being given. So all these come under the organized sector. Now let us see about the unorganized sector. Now usually all these small units, small cottage industries, whatever you have, they come under the unorganized sector. Unorganized sector is out of the control of the government. Understood? Now have you ever seen all these small manufacturing units? You have that mango jelly unit, na? Example, you have mango jelly processing units. Most of them are not registered by the government. They are small units, very small cottage industries they are. Okay, and you have in Uppada, if you go towards Uppada, there also you are having many weavers who weave sarees. Okay, so all such things are unorganized only. They are not registered by the government, but they carry their business staying at home. They employ people. They also employ people, but here the norms or the rules and regulations are totally different from that of the organized sectors. Now here see, the rules and regulations are not followed. They don't follow the rules, they don't have attendance, they don't take attendance and all. Yes, and no formal procedure is followed. They don't have any rules, no formal procedures are followed. Jobs are low paid and not regular. So here what is happening? In an unorganized sector, you can find seasonal employment only. So whenever there is season, they will be recruiting people to work, and when there is off season, then there is no work for the laborers and they are told to go. So here the salaries given to the people are also very, very low. So I hope you understood na? Organized sector and unorganized sector, very, very, very. I hope you all have understood the division between the organized and the unorganized sector. Now what is organized sector and what is unorganized sector? Yes, we have seen that many people, many workers are employed in unorganized sector only. Why? In organized sector, there are job opportunities, but finding an employment in organized sector is highly difficult. But in unorganized sector, it becomes very easy, because in unorganized sector, there is no particular demand with respect to education or with respect to training is required in most cases. So workers tend to go towards the unorganized sector only, especially when they do not have the skill or the education which is required. Okay, but here in the unorganized sector, we have seen that the workers are exploited. They are not paid properly, no rules and regulations are followed, no proper procedures are there. All that we have seen when we have learnt about when we have discussed the difference between the organized and the unorganized sectors. So now let us see how to protect workers in the unorganized sector. Now how these workers who are working in the unorganized sectors can be protected. Okay, ma'am. Now usually the workers in the unorganized sector can be categorized into three. First, in the rural areas. In the rural areas, who are the workers whom you find in the unorganized sector? When we think of rural areas, immediately what we get to our brain? The agricultural workers. Yes, ma. So here in the rural areas, who are the workers working in the unorganized sector? They are the landless agricultural laborers. They are the small farmers. they are shopkeepers, they are artisans. So in this way, these are the people whom we find in rural areas. Now what can be done in order to protect them? Now see in your textbook, page number 32. These farmers need to be supported through adequate facility for timely delivery of seeds, agricultural inputs, credit, storage facilities and marketing outlets. So what the government can do? The government can provide agricultural inputs to the farmers. The government can assist them by providing loans at a very cheaper rate, cheaper interest rate. It can provide loan, it can provide assistance to the farmers by providing good price to the crop. We say na minimum support price. All these days because a new agricultural bill has been a new agricultural bill was bought recently, and a lot of discussion is going on that bill, and there is a talk about minimum support price also. Minimum support price means nothing but in Telugu we say gittubatu dhara. About that also I will be explaining in the next lesson, students, not now. But as of now, the government can help the agricultural farmers in the rural areas by providing good support price to the farmers, by by putting some agricultural yards which can be very near to the farmers, to the surrounding villages, where the buy and sell of the agricultural products can be done easily. So in this way, the government can support these small farmers in the rural areas. Okay. Now coming to the urban areas. In urban areas, who are the workers who are engaged in unorganized sector? Now these are the workers in small scale industries. They are the construction workers, they are the street vendors, they can be the small shopkeepers in the urban areas, they can be all these garment makers and all. Now see, small scale industry also needs government support for procuring raw material and marketing of output. So here also, what can the government do? The government can support for the buying, procurement means buying of the raw materials. These small scale industries, they can be supported by organizations. You might not know, in Kakinada we have one, you know that we have an industrial estate in Kakinada, and there you are having a small organization called I think Setraj. That is a small organization which of the government. It is a government organization which helps small scale cottage industries. Okay. When a person wants to go and put up a small scale cottage industry, then he is being supported by Setraj, with giving him directions, giving him all the information required, and even helping him find loan with the bank, where the raw material is, how that raw material should be taken. In this way, they provide guidance, they provide information to all the small scale industries and the entrepreneurs who want to set up a small scale industry. So such banks, banks like Industrial Development Bank of India, all these banks, they assist the industries, especially the small scale and the cottage industries in the country, by providing them with loan, by providing them with facilities for procuring the manufacturing products. Okay ma? So the government can set up such institutions as well. Okay. Now here we have another group of people who mostly work in the unorganized sector only. But here the problem is, students, working in the unorganized sector is one aspect. On the other hand, they are facing social discrimination also, and that group is the SC and the ST, the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe students. Okay. Now these people, most of them are engaged in unorganized sector only as workers, and upon that they are facing social discrimination also in the unorganized sector. So that is something, a big backlog to the country's economy. Here see, protection and support to the unorganized sector workers is thus necessary for both economic and social development as well. So when the workers in the unorganized sector are supported, then obviously this support will enhance their living conditions and thus will show its effect on the country's economy in toto. So they need to be supported and they need to be protected by the government. This is about the organized and the unorganized sector, students. Ma, you are not having the public and the private sectors for your exam. Page number 33 and 34 you don't have for exam. The rest of all you have to read the textbook and the notes provided. That's for now.